I've been saying this every year. It's been another big year for waitlists, and I think the reason that this may have been, I don't know for sure, but it seems like this may have been the biggest year for waitlist activity, is because of a confluence of a few different factors. One of which is we're at a peak of people graduating high school, 3.9 million, which is going to start drifting downward soon. Another is we're slightly off the peak of test optional policies, but still something like 75% at least of colleges allow you just to submit your application without test scores, no matter what. It doesn't mean you get in, by the way, but you can't submit them that way. And the common application continues to add more colleges that participate, so it's super easy to press one button and apply to up to 20 colleges through the common application. Although, if you're an overachiever or you're neurotic, you can apply to many more colleges than that. And we actually have a client who's now at triple that amount.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, record breaking.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah. Not a good record to break.
No.
Yeah. Just very. Yeah.
60.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. Anyway, let's just put that aside because I don't want you to have PSTD.
Thank you. All over again.
PTSD. Yeah. So.
PTSD.
Yes, I don't want you to have anything. Pearl trauma. So I think my prediction about the waitlist is there's going to be, again, like last year, a lot of action on the waitlist. I think there's going to be a lot of colleges who are not getting those deposits on May 1st or even before. They can figure this out before May 1st. So if you were waitlisted at a school that you are still interested in going to, you probably know this phrase, the letter of continued interest. You want to reach out and let them know. That does not mean bombard them with daily or weekly emails, but you certainly want to let them know you're still my top choice school or one of my top choice schools, whichever is accurate. And I've continued to maintain my GPA. I'm doing well. I'm continuing to do these 2 or 3 types of extracurriculars, or I've won these accolades or whatever. Short and sweet. I wouldn't make it more than 2 paragraphs. I would not make it a 10-page letter. Be respectful of their time, the admissions officer's time. They are inundated with requests like these, and let them know.
Not a litigation of what they already have.
Yeah, right. Don't go. They already have your file, so you don't need to go back and prove your why you belong to be there, what to have been accepted there. You certainly should not say I was shocked, disappointed. I really thought I was a slam dunk shoe-in to get in. Things like that. Stay away from that. It's just more like, look, I'm still really interested in coming. If you let me off the wait list, I'm gonna come. I'm gonna throw in my housing deposit immediately. If you can say that in good faith. Just a couple other little twists that I want to throw in there. This is stuff that most people will not do, so that's why we want to bring it to you. If you're watching or listening, number one, we had a situation 2 years ago, and actually maybe more than 2 years ago. It was probably 3 years ago, when I personally was driving out to the University of Michigan to pick up our daughter Lizzie for her freshman year. She's now graduating, so this is 3 years ago. 4 years ago, yeah. Crazy that I made that drive. That's what she needed. And I got this call from, I guess he was a year younger than her, from someone who had been waitlisted at many different colleges, and one of the questions I asked him when we were sort of rehashing everything was, well, did you visit these colleges? And he said, oh, no, my dad said we could visit once I got in. I said, well, you remember that I said that could actually affect your ability to get in, the visiting, because it shows interest, because colleges are slammed with all these applications. So they don't have a good feel for whether someone's going to show up if they let them in. So that's a big reason why there's all these kids getting waitlisted who, quote unquote, deserve to get into these colleges, because many admissions officers don't want to waste a spot on someone who is maybe clearly above the median of GPA and SAT or ACT, that type of thing. So he said, oh, okay, I'm going to talk him into doing that. So he called me when I was driving out to pick her up at the end of the year. It was around this time, actually. It was probably, maybe early May. And he said, we visited Lehigh, and we visited, wasn't Lafayette, it was another, Bucknell, right? And we were driving home the next day, and I got a call from the Lehigh admissions officer admitting me. And I said, it doesn't always work that way, but I was very happy. I said, well, I think they believe that you demonstrated interest because you hustled, and he drove 3 hours to go there. And then he texted me. I was still driving. That I got to Michigan. He texted me later that day. He said, I just got in a Bucknell too. Right. So,
It's very cool.
so if you are waitlisted somewhere, this is a long shot, but it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to go do what he did. His name is Jack, and prostrate yourself and say, look, I'm just out here. I'm taking one more look. Someone who did that at the University of Michigan, actually.
Yeah.
And it can pay off, even if a school like
Yeah.
Michigan says we don't factor in interest. They're doing that to prevent people from camping out outside the admissions office or finding out where the admissions officers live. But I still think that
Maybe.
potentially, if you show a little hustle, that might sway them. Right? That's I think that's always worth doing. I was talking to a client last week who got waitlisted at a few schools. He's kind of psyched because he's ready to go to University of Georgia, which I think is a really good fit for him.
Mm-hmm.
But he, I can't remember which school. It might have been Michigan, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I know we keep mentioning Michigan, but it was. I think it was, and he was not willing to go out there because he's in the middle of golf season. He's a great golfer, and for school. I mean,
Yeah.
so he didn't have time to do that. So he's going to send this letter of continued interest. And I said, okay, why don't you FedEx it? They're just email me, because a lot of people just email it. It's very easy to let those pile up, and they just get either read or not read or filed somewhere or whatever. But no one deletes the FedEx. So in his case, I believe he's going to do that. So we'll see.
Stay tuned for that.
Yeah, you want to do things that other people are not doing, basically, to demonstrate that you're willing to go the extra mile. All right, Pearl, you got 4 minutes left. What is your latest and greatest news, or not greatest news, about the Department of Education?
So the word on the street, or the official word, is the consolidations online are backing up and running, the ability to do so, and the availability of income-driven repayment plans, which that's a whole other discussion, but that the income-driven repayment plans are a prerequisite for public service, not public service, for loan forgiveness plans and income-based repayment plans, all of which currently exist. Remains to be seen what these may or may not morph into. However, so the word on the street is those things are available once again on the studentaid.gov website.
Despite all the cuts?
Despite all the cuts,
Yeah.
despite all the this and the that.
Yeah.
However,
What?
my personal working knowledge the last couple of days, in spite of this information, is that anybody who had was in the middle of a consolidation or had not completed the public service loan forgiveness plans, for example, those all remain in an in-review status, unable to actually go and change, even though it says on the website, the availability of the online, it's all good and up and running now. When you're actually logged into these accounts to do these things, it says in review, just as it has for the past several months. So nothing has in
what do you
practice.
Advise? Do people cancel and resubmit, or can you not even do anything?
I would not do that.
Okay.
I would not cancel and resubmit. I would hang tight and just be patient. I know they're saying it. What my guess is, those who are initiating consolidations now may have a clean ability to do so, but those that are currently were underway when all this stuff happened with the consolidation of the Department of Education, etc.
Got caught somewhere in the ether.
Exactly right. Exactly right. So,
all right, Pearl helps people with that too. That's a different business that we have called Yesterday's Debt, and I posted yesterdaysdebt.com in the chat here. If you want to reach out to her, she can help you. I think we're going to wrap up here. Farewell for another week.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, right?
Yep.
All holidays.
All holidays. That's why.
Easter,
Happy holidays.
Passover.
Yes. The penumbra of holidays.
Let my student loans go.
Big Passover joke.
Yeah, I got a million of them. Have a great week, everyone. We'll be back next week with another episode of College Coffee Talk.